Welcome to our celebration of 16 years of God's faithfulness in our youth ministry. Join us as we reflect on our journey, honor those who have contributed, and look ahead with hope and anticipation.
This is the Youth 16-year anniversary documentary, and I am pleased to have with us long-serving members of the youth congregation, as well as one of the founding members as well. So we just want to take a journey of the youth, how it's been, and what it is now, and what steps and what the journey has looked like to get to where we are now. So I think we'll start with introductions before now I head into the specific topics. So we'll just go as we are seated.
Thank you. My name is Brian Kangede. I've been in this church for the longest, or for a long time. And karibu sana, even as we take you through the journey of the youth. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Leon Alushula. Been in this church since 2002, so 22 years later. It's a blessing and I'm happy to be part of this panel today.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason Waigwa and I've also been in this church for almost 20 years now, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Penina Wagereka. I've been in this church for quite a while, more than 20 years, and I thank God for the far that we have come, and I thank God for the opportunity to just go through the journey of the youth ministry and the youth service. So thank you.
So my name is Edwin Kangede. I've been in this church since I was small, and I'm glad to be here with the panel. Thank you for the invite, Meshach.
All right, so thank you guys. So that's the guys we have here. And my name is Meshach Kaburi. I've also been here for a long time, and I'll be moderating now this panel. So now everything has a beginning. So I'd like us to jump into how did this journey start? How did the journey of the youth begin? And I believe, Elder, you are part of that team. So maybe you can give us, where have we come from? Where did it all start?
Thank you, Meshach. One of the things that we are aware of, the youth ministry has always been there. So because it is the vision of the church, where there is a youth, there is a PCA church, there is a youth ministry because there are young people there. So there was a youth fellowship long before the youth service. And joining those many years ago, I found the youth and we joined the various activities of the youth. And what we used to do, we'll just meet together, usually have a fellowship. We were involved in the youth service. And we didn't have necessarily the youth, we were involved in the English service. We didn't have the youth service then. So what we normally do, we had a singing group, we'd do things like fellowships, we'd do things like camps. And as time went by, the need arose. There is this big group now, we need to have a youth service for them because there's a big group. So that began the conversation with the church leadership. And it wasn't until 2008 in February that now the church gave the go-ahead, and we had the first service, and we had it in a tent because there was no room for that. And it was a very exciting moment. We looked forward because we had talked about it, we had waited, and we were excited that finally there is a youth service where the youth will be involved, they'll be the ones in charge. And since that time, we have come a long way. We are no longer in the tent. We have a room now, we have a service. We were probably about 40 at that time, if I don't remember the details very well, but we have come a long way. And many hands have gone through the youth service, and many people have grown. They are now elders, they are serving as elders. And we want to thank God, even for the church and trusting us and knowing that we are ready. And from here, we can only go. We are 16 years now. And the future is with the Lord, and we are very, very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder. So now, all right, the youth service has been formed. It's been there for a couple of years. Now we have, I'd say, the rest of us joining in. So for Leon, how was it, coming on board, joining? How did you find it when you were coming in?
Thanks, Meshach. I think from my side, as elders spoken, when the ministry was formed, I was in high school, Form 3. So there were signs of youth ministry when I was closing. You could see activities. I could say like from end of 2009, when I now finished high school, is when like I started to be involved more. So what I appreciated is, I think some of the team members then, I remember Thuku, our elder Thuku now, Philly, CTC, they used to find ways of involving us, whether it's camps or retreats, or I don't know, some dance. Some of us were dancers at some point. Just small activities to keep you engaged. And that's how we slowly started to spend more time, or more of our free time within the church. Then in terms of how the leadership beat, again, I just think it was gradual. It's not something that I can say like personally for myself that it was a target. I felt like maybe people believed more in me than I believed in myself. And slowly, God gave me the opportunity to serve, I think at some point as a treasurer, then the chair, then slowly through discipleship and other activities. So I think maybe and also what helped as well is also being friends. Because now when I see Brian here, I see Edwin, I remember, them wearing the same shoes when we were in Sunday school, to us serving, growing as friends, now being married. It's just like our lives have been intertwined through the church. So the church is not just a part of our life. I think it's been part and parcel of our lives. And that's, for me, that's how the experience has been. Yeah.
For Brian, I would ask, because now Leon has mentioned the fact that, we've been on this journey for a while. There's the whole dynamic of, the changes that have happened. How do you feel that your part in terms of participation, how impactful has it been in terms of your faith and your journey in salvation as well?
Thank you, Meshach, for the question. In terms of impact, one of the things that as young believers we find ourselves doing, we require the need to be grounded when we get to salvation. And I remember in high school, as Leon mentioned, I also came to the youth service immediately just before I joined high school. So I had a chance of actually going through the youth service a bit of times before I actually went to high school. And you'll notice we have the trend of actually, I don't know whether it was the same for you, getting saved every weekend. Every time a preacher comes and they give a fire reward, we used to get born again. So you get born again in a term for like 10 times, and you really can't remember the actual time when you actually got born again. But for me, in terms of the grounding, that's where I can actually put a finger as far as this fellowship is concerned. Because then I was able to come and get impactful teachings aside from the fiery teachings. There was, as Leon mentioned again, we had a teacher called Teacher Phyllis. We had a teacher called Teacher Wamboi. They were very impactful in trying to make sure that they are grounding us in the word, not just the fire. As Leon mentioned, we were part of a dance group. We used to do a lot of activities, and I felt like this is the place I wanted to be. So for me, I'd go back and say it was very impactful in terms of grounding us and allowing us a good chance to be able to learn the word of God in a dynamic way. Yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you.
So let me steer off kidogo and see if we can cover, I'd say, the social aspect of it. In terms of, yes, we are, if we wanted to, we can be able to, the same way we are seeking Christ in the main service, we can be able to do it there. We don't necessarily need, the whole formation of a new service, but it's there now. So what about the social, I think this one I'll throw it to Edwin, in terms of, yes, we've grown in our faith together in fellowship, we did discipleship classes, but in terms of the relationship aspect, the social aspect, in terms of the youth, what benefit, what impact, what impression did it have on you?
So thank you, Meshach. I'd say that what the church did in terms of our social life is actually create an avenue for us to spend time here. And spending time here enabled now the people that we were with to actually become our friends. And so as we had different activities towards coming, not just for the service, but also coming for dance practice, we'd also go for camps, we'd have just different activities every now and then, whether it's a goat eating or whatever. And now that broke the aspect of just having people as church members or just people who you just meet on Sundays. And yeah, we actually have become friends, and that's how we're able to actually follow up with our lives together. And as Leon mentioned, yeah, so right now, each and every step, we have finished school at one point. We've transitioned all through during our work and our careers, what people are doing, our marriage, and now having a young couples group. So you actually form friendships much more deeper and grounded in the word here than out there. So you have other friends, but now you also have friends in church whom you can actually rely on. And actually brought that aspect of having a Christian social environment for us to actually have, even as we transition all through life. And these are the friends that we'll actually now grow with, even as we grow towards being old, towards being elders, towards the direction of our faith, towards the direction of our career prosperity, towards our life. These have actually become people who are our friends for life, and almost to a sense our brothers, so to say.
You've mentioned the relationship aspect, nikakumbuka, we got to grow friendships. Others got to grow even, do I call it closer relationships? Came to church alafu ukapata baby, so it's a good thing. I think if you're able to, I believe most of us, the friends that our closest friends are people who we're sitting with right now. And if the church has been able to do that for us, then it's been really impactful in our lives, to the point where I think it's affected some of our careers, our relationships. So so what I'd ask Jason is, in terms of the activities, in terms of the programs, in terms of the initiatives, are there some that really speak out to you in terms of the impact that they had, not only to you, but also to the youth in general, considering you also served in the office as a chairperson at some point? You are able to, trace this works, this doesn't, this is impactful.
Okay, thank you, Meshach. So in terms of activities and how it impacted the youth, I can say we came up with a number of activities that is in assistance with the youth coordinator, where we had things like sports day, and you have guys play against each other. So you build friendship there. Then also, like Edwin mentioned, the goat eating sessions, where it's more like a goat eating session with a message. So you're taught on an aspect in life, not necessarily church, but generally in church, generally in life. And from there, guys get to, all the way, like you slaughter the goat, you skin it, and then you roast, and you prepare your meal as a group. So that one, besides building the relationship church wise, it built the relationship outside the church, and that's how we came to be where we are currently. So yeah.
That's good. And I believe even to date, there's some of the activities that you mentioned we're still doing today. We had a goat eating last year. We still had our camp, and it's good to see the tradition is continuing from those times to date. And you've mentioned an important aspect of the youth coordinator. So I'll go to Elder Penina, then I'll jump to Brian. In terms of your time, there was no coordinator. So do you feel things would have been, how different would things have been? How much did you need him at the time? And then now I'll jump to you in terms of, what impact did having a youth coordinator bring? What difference? How easy did it make it in terms of management of the youth as well?
Thank you, Meshach. As had said earlier, before the youth service began, the youth ministry was there, the group was there, because they are young people and they need to form the fellowship. But there was no coordinator. So basically, when you are elected as a leader, the officials, you had a lot of work to do, because they're doing all these activities. And that time, remember, we had the larger, presbytery, you have the region, you have the national. So there are all these activities you are coordinating. And as a chair of the parish, you carried a lot of weight. And there was that need, and we tried many times. Way before the youth service began, there was a time there was a youth pastor. There was a time we had one Winslow's Wakasiaka. But then again, because of some other issues, it did not last long. So the need was there, and we petitioned the church. And by the grace of God, we were able to finally get a youth pastor, and now the current one. And I think Mishak and the others that have been there, you can attest the way it is easier. It is much easier. A lot of the bulk it's taken from the officials. So now you're able to shepherd, you're able to lead well. But now if you're thinking about so many other things, and I think it has, from what I've seen, it has opened a lot of opportunities. Because even the youth coordinator now will go out, meet with other coordinators. And I think even the church at large has embraced the need of having youth coordinators, so that a lot of activities are done. So it is much easier. It is the opportunities are many, so many other programs, and we want to thank God. But it was not easy, but here we are, and we thank God.
Peter Matere, the current coordinator, I would say, in terms of impact, I mention him because sometimes I feel like he was that light that we needed at the end of the tunnel. Him specifically being that he had served at a higher level as far as leadership in the church was concerned. So his impact as far as grounding us as officials, because I know in a meeting would be so fiery. It's easier for us to plan for maybe a trip to Dubai. It was possible, and maybe is still possible, but it was easier for him then to guide us and allow us to be able to take things a step at a time. It was also easier for him to be able to come up with so many programs. Aside from, there was a lot of fun, there was a lot of fellowship, and apart from that, there was also programs that now enabled us to learn more about the Word of God, to be more focused, to change our services from just being a situation where we have a preacher here and the congregation, to a service where there is a lot of engagement in terms of wanting to hear the opinions of people. So it helped the youth bond more. It helped the youth understand each other more and understand more about their purpose. Because the moment you can sit down and actually explain something and have it explained to you in a different way, then you understand something a bit better, which allows you to now come to church, not out of obligation, but out of the fact that now there's an understanding that you have, and then that makes you consistent as a result. So the impact was way above. He actually exceeded expectations in CBC terms. Yes, thank you.
All right. So, yeah, you've mentioned Peter, and I think I mentioned in church once that I think no week passes that I don't call him in terms of guidance, asking for, what do we do? And he mentioned that his role is more pastoral. So having that guiding light. So now what I'd like is in terms of parting shots. So how we've all served in office previously. So I'd like maybe 30 seconds just mention, how have we evolved to the youth today, the evolution to what we are now, and in terms of passing on the torch, what comments do each one of you have? Yeah. So I'll start from Edwin, then we'll go on.
So I'd say the youth is it's a very transitionary type of stage where you have youths from all over coming for not a very long time. It's just move on for maybe 3 years, 4 years, you're in school around, and you can actually have life take you in other places. So serving has actually been impactful towards helping us meet new people, helping us in our faith, grow in our friendship, even as you have challenges of things that you want to overcome as leadership, and also reach out to the youth. And the handing over is actually something that you're happy to see, because you've served, you've had your challenges, you've now passed them over to somebody else who's actually taken up the role and been able to actually serve even to a better capacity than you have. And that transition actually shows that this was actually God's plan for us to have the youth service. And He will continue to see this work come to a completion. Yeah.
Thank you, Meshach. I'm very grateful the point at which we are. We have come 16 years, and the future and the possibilities are limitless. One of the things I'm grateful for, even in this season, I sit here as an elder, and I'm currently serving in the youth as one of the elders. So we have youth districts, something that is new, something that has opened a lot of opportunities for the youth to serve. So we are very grateful, and now you don't only have to wait for Sunday to serve. You serve in the district. They are involved, and we'll continue to grow leaders. That's the way leaders are grown. They are groomed from the districts, and I am very happy because the young people, the youth have embraced that. They are excited. They are happy, and I thank the leadership currently. I've been in the youth service now since we began. So I see a lot of, every time you have heard even people standing saying, it is my first time to lead. So there is a lot of, you're very gracious. People are given, just go and lead. And they come and say, I've been in this church, I've never led. And they do it so well. So you see, and that's build confidence. So next time, you will tell them, you are the one to pray. Next time, you tell them, go and prepare a short message in the district. Next time, you're like, go and preach. And that is the way people are grown, their confidence grow. So I'm very grateful, and with prayer, with God helping us, with the church helping us, the support is there, all the way from the minister to the elders to the session. And so we are grateful and we thank God. And we'll be here talking about 20, 25 years by the grace of God. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Meshach. So personally, I can say, well, I took over as chair during one of the tough times. It was during the COVID pandemic. And during this time, the government stated that all churches should lock down. And we are here. How are we going to reach out to the youth members? How are we going to make them, interact with each other and all that? So with the support and the help of the church and the rest of the office, we had to find out, or rather research on activities that are going to keep our youth members busy during this time, so that we don't end up losing them, especially when we reopen, when we come back to the physical service and all that. So I can say I got a lot of support from even the former officials, and what I can say is I've seen growth since the last time I was in office, because we had the clan system where every youth member was delegated to, and they could serve in there. And till date, we have now the youth districts, as Elder said. So I can say it's a good progress, and yeah, we thank God for that.
John, let me add something to your, I want you to cover as well. What, incorporate it into your message, what advice or what would you have to say to the current leadership of the youth as well?
I don't know why we are thanking Meshach, but thank you, Meshach. So I think where I'll start is, what I see now is definitely just God's grace. When you enter the service, and I remember, again, Meshach, this small boy who the mom brought, telling us, chezeni na Meshach, but msimuumize, ameko in a Chelsea jersey, that now he's leading. When you see that, it can only be God's grace, because that is not something we can say we planned or, we handled. Or when I come and see Dawn of Grace, and you remember there's a time if Nate is not around, then you don't know what the service will look like. To a point now when you see Ivy, Akina Eva, Karen, etc. Yeah, and just God's faithfulness in ensuring that good thing that he started, continues to run in a way that it is because of him, not because of us. So for me, when I see that, I'm very grateful. Then secondly, on a personal capacity, I think leadership or serving was very humbling, in the sense that, one, you start, sometimes you look at yourself first. Like, how am I able to say this to others? Am I actually following? And this, I'm speaking from the context of us as Christians, of, our relationship with Christ, how we follow the word, etc. So for me, I think one of the things that I really found to be helpful was, because, again, this can also can be like of advice to the leaders, is if you're not careful, sometimes leadership can sound more of an activity rather than one service and you growing in your faith, where you're just focused about, every time service, we are mongea sana. Like you're just looking at the activity rather than this being a service and a moment of growth, and also looking for time for you to grow as a Christian as well, because that hasn't changed. Then secondly, in terms of advice to the current team, would be, in as much as the youth keeps evolving and keeps changing, etc., the gospel doesn't keep changing. The gospel is the same. So for whoever enters this church and passes for whatever moment, let's ensure that gospel keeps being shared. And let us not assume that, we are all Christians, so let's focus on other things. The gospel should keep being the center. So even as you think of programs, activities, etc., let them be centered around the word. Shy away from finding carnal means of fun, because those things change very quickly and people, then don't stay. Then I think the last bit is, again, for all of us, is just to keep praying for ourselves, keep praying for each other, because again, our foundation of society is determined with the church, and we have, like a small role in the bigger picture to play together. Yeah.
Brian, what's up here? Any kuongeze? I want you to also mention something on the young couples as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's a big one. Being that I'm the youngest in the group. But anyway, let me start with the young couples and maybe just comment. I feel like it's been one of those very successful groups. By very successful, I mean in terms of their consistency, in terms of meeting, and in terms of checking up, and in terms of them having a structure that is workable. So we've been having, I think Edwin, Leon, and myself are part of the group together with other members from this church, where we have fellowships. We are doing a discipleship book currently, where we are handling issues as far as growing in marriage is concerned. And it is very instrumental because there are things that guys who've gone ahead of me, now I say that because I'm the youngest, have gone ahead of me and they've handled them and they've struggled and they've found a way that works. It is easier for them to pass those things down. So that when now I'm telling Edwin that I'm struggling in an area, he'll tell me, it will just pass. I went through that. This is how I handled it. It will be easier for Leon to tell me, or to tell Edwin now, you are at a lower level, but this will come, and when it comes, this is how you'll handle it. So as far as it being an instrumental group, I feel like when it's also passed down to other groups, because I feel like we also have young professionals, that's also the same. So the young professionals now is also a stage or a group that can benefit from that kind of mentorship. So as we build on young couples, because I feel it's been built and the structures are almost working, it's also something I'd want us to work as far as young couples is concerned, then also talk about maybe youth in campus. So because there are different issues that need to be addressed at that level. So that even as they transition, as we've mentioned, they're able to deal with issues, campus, deal with issues as far as young professionals, then also deal with issues as young couples. So it would be the direction that perhaps I would encourage for us to think about taking. Something I'd say is there is a lot of joy in knowing God for yourself. And this is just advice that now I'm giving as a parting shot. There's a lot of joy in knowing God for yourself, and that requires you to constantly search for God for yourself. You might be in this fellowship with 100 other people, but your growth is very independent. And if you don't take the initiative as a person to cultivate the garden that I would say that God has given you, then you won't see any growth. So you might be all here, all at different levels, all growing at different levels and doing different things. But if you don't take the journey as a personal journey where you need to work it out, then you won't see any results. So just as we finalize, I'd just say, work out your own salvation. Work out your own salvation, because as you continue doing that, you will find God, and God will be so personal to you. So thank you, and thank you for this chance.
Asanteni sana. I appreciate you all for taking the time, sharing your stories, and still being a part of the journey. 16 years on as well, and we also pray for more and more years. So yes, thank you very much. Asanteni sana. So hi guys, we are here filming the youth documentary for the 16 years of the youth that we've had, and right now I'm joined by some of the current active members that we have, as well as the officials, to just shed a little light on what we're doing, what we've done, and what the future holds for us. So I'll let them introduce themselves. From Eva.
Hi, my name is Eva Mudhoni. I am a youth member, and I am currently the vice chair of the youth congregation. Hello, Harriet Karaoke is my name. Currently a youth member and the youth treasurer.
Hi guys, my name is Jeffrey Mbogwa, a former vice chair and treasurer. Santi.
And my name is Meshak Kaburi, currently serving as the youth chairperson. So yeah, we're excited to have you here. So what I'd like you guys to tell me is in terms of, how did you guys get into the youth? Now we've established that the youth was there. Sasa, it was established way earlier than we were there. So how did you guys get in? Let's start with Geoffrey.
Thank you, Meshak. I think when I think about it, I think I joined youth when I was in high school. Those times when Akina Phyllis were leading, and now Elder Dhuku who are leading, who really guided us through the youth, and we also transitioned well because they held our hands. So that was, I think, around 14 years. Yeah. It's a while. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Umetaja kina Phyllis and Thuku, and it's interesting because I remember, I think was it in teens? So I remember the tent was outside here, and unahepa
Yeah.
teen service ndio ukuje
Yes. And also like how they used to embrace us when we came back from high school. I think that was a way of encouraging us to be more here, and we had a dance group. Saizi magoti imekuwa mzito. But we had a dance group then, and I think that was what actually warmed us up because, teenagers and the hype and the dancing, it really helped us to now join. Before now we got to be deeper Christians and understanding the word. Yeah.
Yeah, by the I think hizo activities ndo I think they warmed up because now umetoka high school ama uko high school alafu unajua ile phase you're so out of place. Hujui nini inafaa ikuwa nafanya, which group do I associate with.
For sure.
Sasa let me throw it to Eva and ask how was yours, because now yours is definitely a different, I call it a time period compares to ours in terms of joining. How was it for you when you're coming into the youth?
Okay, I think for me, mine was a very natural transition because the foundation was already laid for us in terms of like the youth church. So us was, you come from church school, you go to teens was already established, and then now from teens, you just move to the youth. And for me, I joined youth more recent, definitely, compared to all of you. Yeah, because I think I actually joined Kabisa in 2020, which was after COVID. Yes. So I found the church was there, so it was a matter of kufukuzwa teens, and now you have to be in youth. So yeah.
Same question, Geoffrey, because I know now yours is a whole different dynamics, similar to ours in terms of impact in faith.
Yeah.
And given the fact that you also send daily Bible verses kwa WhatsApp group, I am sure there has to have had an impact. So yako, how was it for you?
Okay, so me, I believe how youth has impacted me. One of them is before Corona, there were caches bi-weekly. That really helped me because we spent a whole night just worshiping and praising and listening to the word of God. That really helped me. Also the camps that we went to, those were amazing. I remember, I think my first camp was in Form 3 or Form 4 with Kina Phyllis and that gang. And from then on, I think if I missed maybe 1 year. So that has really helped me to grow my faith. And on your point of me sharing the word, I think it's just something that drives me just to give you a push, because sometimes on Mondays guys are kind of sluggish. They feel like we're back to Monday again. So just giving them the word, it's going to like give them a push and a reason as to why they should be positive on Monday and to push through the week well. So I believe does have an impact. Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into the activities that we've had. You know, the guys who are here before, the previous officials, they talked about now the activities that they set in place, the camps, the hikes, the nene. So Harriet, like, which activities stood out for you? Which ones still stand out? And, you know, which ones do you enjoy as well?
For the activities that stood out for me, one was the camps. As Geoffrey said, they were fun. We got to interact with our fellow youths and got to learn the Word of God. Another activity, discipleship. This has helped us to grow our faith. Most of us, when we started discipleship, we were 50-50, you know. But through the journey, we're able now to know God at a personal level. And this has impacted us, okay, me specifically, in a way, even now, during our district fellowship, we're the first ones to volunteer. Next time we're doing fellowship, I'll be preaching, but I'll be sharing the sermon. Yes, so that's one of the impacts that the activities have made in our lives.
All right. Then, in terms of now the spiritual aspect of it, now we have different programs running right now. So we have discipleship, we have word to word. How do you feel, Eva, in terms of now, I'd say, leave alone your impact personally, but also to the youth as well? These programs that we have in relation to that, how good or how beneficial do you feel they are to them?
I think these programs and these activities, specifically the word for word and the discipleship, are very impactful to the youth because, first of all, let me speak to word for word. Word for word is essentially an exposition of the Bible where all of us as youth move together in terms of studying a book of the Bible. So that gives the members of the youth a push to read the word. So if you know on Sunday we'll be covering Romans chapter 14, then that will give you an incentive kind of to read the Bible. I know sometimes it's not easy to be consistent at reading the word. So having such programs ingrained in the youth activities helps us in terms of helping us to be accountable to one another in terms of, have you been able to study the Word of God? What have we been able to learn from the Word of God? How have you been able to apply it in your own life? So I think that's a way in which word for word is very impactful to the youth. And then discipleship, as Harriet has said, that's something that helps us to have that intimate relationship with God. And the fact that you have other people who are also growing together with you, that gives you also the aspect of accountability. And even in instances when you fail or you're not able to do something, then you have your fellow people who are able to encourage you. You're able to stand with one another and encourage one another. So discipleship is also an activity where we've stopped having the youth service as something that it looks very far. We just wait for Sunday, be the neno in a pewa, and then it's exciting for that day, and then for Monday, what happens? What's next? You know. So at least with discipleship, because it also has different sections in the book, you're able to practice what you're learning. You're able to have a smaller group, not just like the whole church. You're able to have 5 or 6 people who are able to encourage one another, motivate one another, and it stops being like a third party thing, and it becomes a very personal relationship with you and your God. So yeah, I think that's the impact.
But that, I think it's really detailed, and it also, I think it's a direction we've been constantly heading as a youth. You know, there's youth, of course, there's the fun, definitely has to be there. But there's been a consistent growth in terms of, you know, how much we are doing the word, the spiritual growth aspect of it. We had discipleship, Word for Word came on board. Discipleship at a certain time, it wasn't as active. Now we have, is it 5 classes? We even have one for the young couple. So it's good to see that we are consistently maintaining now the spiritual aspect of it. And then now, I think, Geoffrey, you are one of the people, or I think you're the only person who has served the longest term in office ever. Because I know you did 3 years, then you've done 1 year. So how would you say the guys who are there before us, you know, in terms of grooming us to take now these seats, and even now, you know, just making us feel as if, yes, we can do this, or yes, we are accepted within the youth. How much impact from them, or how much contribution did they make to now, you know, give you even the confidence? Because if you're being selected 4 times, there has to be something you're doing right. So I believe they played a role. So what would you maybe say about that?
Okay, so I'm not the longest. It's Elder Dhuku. Yeah, Elder Dhuku actually did 7. Yeah, it's 7, and he was encouraging me. He was encouraging me because I think I'd felt a bit taken back, because after finishing the 3 years, you're like, let's now go to the next step. So I was not sure whether I want to do the additional one, but he encouraged me and he told me that he did 7, and you see, he's now a success. Yeah, he's a success. So I believe it has been amazing, especially because we began, first of all, without a youth coordinator. It was not easy. I think it was now when we ordained, when we brought Mr. Peter Matere. Thank God for him, because he's really been impactful to the youth service. And we received him when I was a co-opted member. Actually did a 1-year co-opted member with Mr. Chairman Edwin. And then, so over the years, it has been good with improving and with the great experience of Peter Matere. He's really helped us to bring down, and I see stability right now, and things can move even when he's not there. So I think the policy has really helped in now the current leadership. Things are able to move very swiftly. Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned the coordinator, Peter, and I feel like he's played a really big part in terms of, Brian mentioned, grounding the youth. So we've really been stabilized by his presence. And we actually, you know, the coordinator, the patrons that we've had before, you know, Elder Karanja, Elder Mutahi, Elder Thuku, they've played a really big part in terms of, you know, what we are today. So now the next question would be, so what do we have planned? What do we as a youth, which activities should guys, you know, look forward to? Or rather, what does our future hold, Harriet?
One, more of the district fellowships, campus engagements. We want to engage the campus youth on a personal basis, just putting them together, having them to discuss maybe the challenges that they're facing in campus and how they can overcome them. Also having more of the young professionals engagements and having it routinely. Another thing, discipleship. We want to grow the numbers and have more groups. We want to increase it from 5 to maybe 10. Yes, and through these discipleship classes, we've also seen there's been growth. Even right now, the elders have started their own discipleship classes. Yes, so we're doing something. Yes.
I think that's a really interesting take. The fact that we as the youth are charting a course that, you know, now even the others are picking up on. And I think another thing we are also trying to be keen on is in terms of, you know, one, being focused on, you know, niche groups, the way you've mentioned campus, young professionals, we have young couples. I think also the gents and the ladies now, we are also trying to target that, because we had really a lot of feedback from the ladies in terms of the programs that they want. And we are looking forward to, you know, we have PCMF in our presence, we have Women's Guild, so if we can even work with them for the same. Now, parting shots, 30 seconds each. How summarize everything you'd like to say? So I'll start with you.
Okay, so from what you've said, the youth church has been impactful to each and every one of us, and on a personal and individual level. And this is because of our mentors, the ones who've gone before us, and the support from the elders, the church, the reverends. So we'd like to encourage you to continue supporting us in our activities. We are your children. Most of us are literally your children. Yeah, and we hope that you will continue holding our hands and supporting us in everything that we plan to do. Yes, and God bless you. Thank you.
First of all, we want to thank God for the 16 years that we've been given as a youth. Thank you, church, for allowing us to have our own service. Thank you for the support you've given us. We also want to ask you continue to support us in everything that you do. Thank you for accommodating our crazy ideas. We thank you so much. We wouldn't have been here if it weren't for you and your support. May God continue to bless you and continue to give you wisdom as you continue to guide us in our journey.
Yes, I'd also like to start with all glory to God for how far we've come. Just as Meshach has said that we started with a tent outside, now it's a beautiful church and it's work in progress. We give thanks to God and we give thanks to our elders and our parents for supporting us. I thank also the current office led by Mr. Meshach. The guys overworking, doing a phenomenal job. Thank him as well. What I'd like now to maybe just encourage the elders and also the parents to support the youth so that we may have youth to be retained here, and even as they transition to the main service, to be retained here, and also the new ones to come, support the youth ideas. Sometimes they may sound, they may not make sense to you, but just support them and see how it goes, because that is how we're going to retain the youth in church. And I think also up to us is to keep encouraging the younger youth that are now joining us, say from 4 level, because they're still, some are pretty young in the spiritual world. So we need to keep on pressing. Sometimes it seems tiring, like, what do you want to do? Can you do ushering today? Can you read the Bible? And by encouraging them that way and tell them, you can do this, you can do this, you can come and help us wherever that you want. You want to sing, you want to dance, you want to do a skit, just encourage them, because we're not here for long. And it's them that you're living here. So they need to feel a sense of ownership when they're here. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think you've mentioned a point we had covered in terms of, the youth group is a transitional group. And now my appeal would be to the youth. We are not youth forever. So if you get the chance to be able to serve, participate in the service, take it with both arms open, because you never know the doors, the opportunities that it opened up to you, leave alone in church, but even in life. We've had people who, through the interactions we've done during the youth, people have gotten jobs, internships, people have gotten married. Unapata uko hapo umenyamaza church, lakini dem yako, kumbe portion yako iko hapa, lakini umenini. So yeah, as the youth, let's not really be fearful in terms of participation, and let's try as much as possible, because this is for us. We are ready to listen to you guys. We are ready to, hear you out, voice your opinions, and action them as well. So yeah, thank you guys for participating, and happy 16th to the youth.
Happy
service.
16th, sir. Yes, yes.
16th,
Santi.
yeah.
As the youth, we'd like to big special thanks to our current Reverend Dorcas, our patron Elder Jane Gishoke, youth coordinator Peter Matere, and even the youth office, for the continuous support, and even the church as a whole. You've been a great help, a great contribution to the success of the youth service, and we could not have done it without you. Also appreciate the youth that we currently have, and we thank you all. Thank you for the big, immense role that you have played in the youth fellowship. We could not have done 16 years without you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Over the past 16 years, our youth ministry has been a beacon of hope and a testament of God's faithfulness. Together, we have achieved so much, but our journey is far from over. As we celebrate this milestone, let us recommit ourselves to serving and growing together in fellowship and faith. During our anniversary service, we had the honor of recognizing and appreciating the dedication and service of our former officials. We presented certificates of appreciation to express our gratitude for their contributions to the youth ministry. Thank you to everyone who has been a part of our journey over the past 16 years. Together, let us continue to shine brightly for His glory.